Hi folks, Paul Taylor from Truckers Justice Center. I'm going to talk today about covering your back. Drivers get fired. Sometimes they get fired for a legally impermissible reason. Sometimes they get fired because they deserve to get fired. However, it's important that if you are fired illegally or you think you might get fired illegally, it's important in order to prove that up in a court or a federal agency such as OSHA. We do cases before OSHA for drivers who get fired for refusing to break DOT regulations. They don't go forward at DOT. It's important that you retain records, and there's sort of a tension here as to whether you're going to retain 1,000 photographs and record every conversation versus covering your butt. Several things that I recommend to you. If you're able to, on the eLog system, download your logs periodically, do so. Not just the days you're required to have in retention, but do that periodically. Because even though you might have a situation where you're not fired over refusing to break hours of service, you could have a situation where you're fired for complaining about bad equipment or an overweight load and things of that nature. The logs help prove up that you were where you said you were, or helps us if we're drafting your complaint or your charge with OSHA or a court, that we can pinpoint as to where you were on a particular date, rather than say, on or about November of 2019, you were at a rest area in Tucumcari. We can use eLogs to pinpoint where you are at and draw a very clearly defined timeline for you. Other things you should retain are screenshots of the Qualcomm in the generic sense, the in-vehicle communication devices, whether it's PeopleNet, Qualcomm, or some other document. So it's important to keep those documents. Take screenshots, make sure the date's on there. If the dates aren't on there, note the dates and the times of those particular text messages. So if you're sending a Qualcomm message to Thule in dispatch and you're telling her you can't make the load delivery appointment time without breaking hours of service, and that you won't break hours of service, you got proof as to having communicating with it. And we get a lot of cases where dispatchers and safety directors and HR folks and other people employed by carriers, where they claim mute, oh, that didn't happen, or I can't recall. Qualcomm messages are good proof. The other thing is to retain text messages. A lot of smaller carriers communicate with their drivers on text messages. Even larger carriers might have separate communications with drivers on text messages, like a night dispatcher. So keep those things, screenshot them, keep your phone so that you have proof. Don't lose that phone when you switch for a better plan every 6 months. So it's important to retain those things. The other thing to retain is photographic copies of DVIRs. So if you have a DVIR where you've written up a truck repeatedly for 4 marker lights out and 1 bald tire, and you finally refuse to drive it because they're not getting it fixed, you want photographs of those things. And if you're going to photograph a tire, use a tread depth gauge, in a major groove pattern, that you can show that this trailer tire was not 2/32 of an inch tread depth on a major groove pattern. In today's day and age where we have smartphones, Androids, there is so much you can do to cover your behind so you are protected, and in the event the carrier either blacklists you or fires you for an illegal reason. So it's record keeping is most important, rather than going into a court situation or EEOC or OSHA where it's your word against them. Finally, I want to talk about recording. It is in most states not against the law to record a conversation a conversation with somebody, provided you are a party to that conversation. There are some states where it is not permissible, such as Illinois and Maryland, California, and Michigan. That's not an exhaustive list, but you can put into a search engine such as Google eavesdropping laws and get an up-to-date version of the states where it is impermissible to record without disclosure and permission, and those where it is. Always, you can't secretly record a conversation to which you are not a party. But today's day and age, as I said, with respect to the type of technology we have, you can protect your rear end and build a case if you are being retaliated against by making recordings where it is legally permissible. So the cases that are won, the employment cases that are won, are those cases where the drivers have established proof that supports your position. Thanks for watching.